Hello and welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe, right here in Lagos studio. And of course, it's all about the Africa Cup of Nations. That's what we're talking about. I also touched down on the FA Cup. But at the moment, Morocco is actually leading Cameroon by a lone goal. And guess who scored? Guess who actually scored in that first half of the game? Brahim Diaz, as expected. His 5th goal in this tournament so far. So for every game he's playing, he is scoring. MVP loading or highest goal scorer, you choose. All right, also on the program, yes, we'll be taking a look at the game that just went down. That's Senegal are the first team to get their hands into, or rather put themselves into the semi-finals of the Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. They were able to beat Mali by a lone goal. Iliman Ndiaye, his 27th minute goal was all Teranga Lions needed to get into the last 4. And of course, who's going to join them? Will it be Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, defending champions, or even the host nation, Morocco? Yes, we'll find all that out by 11 p.m. or rather, yeah, let's say 11 p.m. All games should be over, talking about the quarterfinals. And of course, by Sunday, the semi-final fixtures will be ready. It's a loaded package tonight. Maybe Austin Okanakma may join me later. You know, he's in Marrakech. I don't know. Okay, but Toby Emmanuel will be joining us from Ottawa in Canada after this time. Right, Toby Emmanuel is ready to join us all the way from Canada tonight on the Africa Cup of Nations. Yes, it's been interesting games, goals and goals and goals in most of the games, except, you know, I think it was Comoros, just one group game that we haven't had a goal since the tournament started. Toby, it's good to have you join us on this show tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be back, to see my family. You guys are keeping it strong. Give it to Channels TV, always on point. So I'm not surprised. Austin is dishing out those exclusive interviews. Good job you guys are doing, Cecilia.
Thank you for finding our time to actually join me tonight on the show. Okay, we're going to get started with Mali and Senegal. We're going to give you a confirmation of that result before we talk more about that. I mean, that game was something everyone was looking forward to because of what happened between Mali and, of course, Tunisia. But this time around, the quarterfinal result, the final score happens to be Senegal winning by just a lone goal. So it's Senegal 1 and Mali 0. And of course, this game had everything you can think about, from the red card to the penalty appeal that wasn't given. And of course, when you have a captain of the team being sent off, they played against 10 players before, and they came out, you know, the better team. But played, they were 10 men down before. I'm talking about in the game against Tunisia, they were able to, you know, come back from that, and they won on penalties. But this time around, I think the luck actually ran out because Teranga Lions were ready for the Malians. A lot of missed chances. And of course, it wasn't any better when their captain was actually sent off after he got 2 cards. Toby, we were starting off with this one. I mean, a striker that was recalled, Iliman Ndiaye, was the one who scored that 27-minute goal for Tangiers for the Teranga Lions to get into the semi-finals. What do you think of the game? Was this something that you think the Malians would have done better in this game, or Senegalese were just better? I mean, they were clinical, they just needed 1 goal, and of course, they got a ticket to the semi-finals.
It's always a cagey game between Mali and Senegal, considering the fact that they have similar style of play. They are good ball jugglers, they are physical, they are strong and athletic. But against all odds, a lot of people have been tipping Senegal as one of the favorites, and they are also living up to the expectation. Mali were unfortunate. Luck, like you said, cannot always carry you when you don't do the job well by keeping clean sheets, as in red cards. Red card is part of the games. And so if you are not careful with your cards, offenses, it might ruin your strategy. So unfortunately, Senegal did a good job, and they are also still a favorite for the tournament.
I mean, now the Malians are out. I mean, there was so much pressure, on them coming into the game. One of the team who got into the round of 16, without winning a game. And of course, when they played the round of 16, they had to go into penalties before they were able to take out the Tunisians to get to this stage. But now it's like the luck finally ran out. Of course, their good fortunes over, and for Senegal they will move on. Rather, they've moved on, and they will be facing the winner between the Pharaohs of Egypt or Cote d'Ivoire, defending champions. I mean, that will be another tough one. That game will be played after the semi-finals have been concluded. The game between Egypt and of course Cote d'Ivoire will be played tomorrow. That's immediately after the Nigeria's game. Now let's take a look at the Nigerian match. I think we can leave this one and quickly go to the Nigeria game, which is the big one for tomorrow. But before that, we're going to be taking a look at the fixtures for tomorrow. Then we'll start off with the Nigerian match, the match against Algeria. These two sides, they're no strangers to each other when it comes to the Africa Cup of Nations. You see the start. It's a loaded one because Nigeria and Algeria, they're always more like, should I use the word customers here? When it comes to the Africa Cup of Nations. So this is confirmation of the fixture, the quarterfinal game on Saturday. Algeria and Nigeria. Of course, we played in Marrakech. The time is 5 p.m. Nigerian time. That's when this game will take place. And the other quarterfinal that will wrap up this last 8 will be the game between the Pharaohs of Egypt and, of course, the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire, who are the defending champions. Remember, they hosted the last one. They're hosting to win. But at the moment now, take a look at the head-to-head record overall when it comes to Nigeria and Algeria. How many games have they played? That's how many times they've met. 21 times for Nigeria and Algeria, of course. Algeria has won 10 and Nigeria winning 7. For draws, as both sides are tied on this one, 4-4. And of course, losses, Nigeria has lost 10 and Algeria losing 7. And goal for is 32 for Algeria and 24 for Nigeria. Goal against 24 for Algeria and 32 for Nigeria. In all, the goal difference, Algeria got 8 and Nigeria owing as -8. Now, this is the head-to-head record overall. Now, in the Africa Cup of Nations, they met 9 times, and Algeria has won 4, same number. They're tied on those draws. They're also tied on draws. In terms of losses, you have Nigeria losing 4 and Algeria 3. For goal for 11 and 9 for Nigeria. Go against 9 and 11 for Nigeria. And goal difference, they're also tied on this one. Now, Toby, this is the big one. Of course, this is where all hands literally are on deck because of this game, because Nigerians at least will still want to stay in the tournament. The last time we got to the final, so the only thing, or rather the only difference will be, or rather the only thing that will make Nigerians happy will be winning the trophy. But Algeria is actually standing right there to see if they can prevent Nigeria from achieving that. Now, let's take a look at the past Africa Cup of Nations meetings between Nigeria and Algeria. On the 22nd of March in 1980, it was in Lagos, AFCON final, Nigeria winning by 3-0. Then you have all the superpowers, right? Superstars in the Nigerian squad. In 1982, that's in March, on the 10th, Algeria beating Nigeria by 2-1. And that was in Group B in the Africa Cup of Nations in Benghazi. And then you come to when Libya hosted the Nations Cup. Also in March, but this was in 1984 on the 11th in Group B in Bouake. Of course, Algeria and Nigeria, this game ended goalless. This was in 1984. Now let's move over to other games, other times that they've met. Also in March, but this was in 1988, on the 23rd, the semi-final in Rabat in Morocco. Nigeria and Algeria ended 1-0, and of penalties, I mean, we went into sudden death. It was 9-8 on penalties, Nigeria winning that. And in Algiers, as in Algeria, it was Algeria beating Nigeria by 5-1, the heaviest defeat in all since the Africa Cup of, since Nigeria and Algeria have been meeting at the Africa Cup of Nations. And that was in Group A. They were in the same group as host nation. In 1990, final in Algiers, also in Algeria. Algeria winning by a lone goal. That was in March on the 16th. That's when that happened. It comes to 2002 in Group A in Bamako in Mali, Nigeria winning by a lone goal. That was January 21st. And in 2010, in the third place match in Bengali, it was Nigeria and Algeria. That game ended 1-0 in favor of Nigeria, and that was in January 30th. And 2019, this is the freshest because some of the players that are actually playing in this tournament were also here. Moses Simon is one of them. It was Algeria beating Nigeria by 2-1 in the semi-final in Cairo, Egypt. That was on the 14th. The date was 14th in July, and of course, it ended in favor of Algeria. So this is the revenge mission that everyone has been talking about. If you take a look at the Africa Cup of Nations, all the teams that have defeated the Super Eagles of Nigeria before now, they've been able to beat all of them, this Africa Cup of Nations. Will Algeria be the next? Toby, we've taken a look at the statistics now. Obviously, it's in favor of the Algerians. So what are your thoughts on this game? Yeah,
looking at the statistics, right from onset, Algeria has always been a very difficult team, even though we won our first Nations Cup in 1980 playing against them. But the one that came to my mind when I started noticing the Desert Warriors, it was in 1990. That team had Robert Maja. That team was great. They defeated us 5-1 in the opening game. Then the last game, in the final game, we won. They won 1-0, I beg your pardon. And that was when I started noticing them. Even though we played them during the World Cup qualifiers, we remember when we had to qualify for the World Cup and we played against Algeria. But the last game was so instrumental to all these bragging rights that they are having now because they defeated us at the crucial stage. 2019, it was a game that we were doing everything possible. But the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, we started conceding all those pressure from the day where. So in the 90th minute, they hit the bar. They almost scored. Then the 92nd minute, and that's where Mahrez had that foul in the front of the penalty box. And Mahrez, clinical, scored that. A lot of people blame Akpeyi. It had nothing to do with Akpeyi. So the team, which still have most of those players, they are a strong force. They are a contender. They won the AFCON 2019. Like Mahrez said in the press briefing, he wants to win and end on the big note. But do we have a team that can beat them? Yes. Do we have the mentality to win? Yes. Is everybody ready, putting everything on the deck to play? That is, I cannot guarantee. Considering what has been happening the past few days, Austin Okonakman is in Marrakech. Is going to give us update from the Super Eagles camp. But from the body language of what I've seen, if it were the same spirit they had in the first 3 games, I can comfortably tell you that Super Eagles will beat Algeria, even though Algerians have great players who can destroy. Mahrez has always been there. He's very fantastic. You know him, what he brings to the table. Mohamed Amara, another good attacking player. Ibrahim Maza, great players. Even, you know the AC Milan guy, Beneka, the engine room, if we can stop him in the midfield. So everything depends on the composure of our midfield. The midfield will determine the fluidity of our attack and also the solidity of our defense. So it's crucial for us to make sure that we have a midfield who can curtail these guys. These guys are very slicky. These guys, they can take their chances, and they last long. Their game against DR Congo, you saw what they did towards the end of the match. They are always fantastic towards the end of the week. Do we have the strength to finish up the game? That is things we need to worry ourselves about. But if you put their players at part of our players, both teams are balanced.
Talking about both teams having a balanced team, of course, the way the coach usually talked about the positive energy that is in the camp, and of course, that should be enough for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Let's take a listen to Coach Eric Chell talking ahead of the game against Algeria tomorrow night.
This is a big game, of course, because this is the quarterfinal. So a big game against a big team. So how we prepare this game? So our state of mind is good. We are ready. Physically, we are ready. Tactically and technically, we are ready. We analyze the game. We try to find the weaknesses of the opponent, and we try to put in the head of our team that we can pass by this door. This is every time the same, and the coach of Algeria, this is the same. So of course we work about the weaknesses about the Algeria. But after you have a game, this is the quarterfinal. This is the big competition, so your state of mind and your mindset is very, very important, because you have to manage the pressure, you have to manage the opponent, and what your coach asks you.
It's all about managing everything. Look at the weaknesses of your opponents, and not just that, also while managing the players. They've had their final training session tonight. Of course, by tomorrow, we should know what the coach will be coming up with. Austin Okonagba is ready to join us from Marrakech.
Sport greetings to you, Cecilia, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Always a delight to be on the program. Happy New Year, Toby. Emmanuel, good to see you. Good
to see you, brother.
It's been a long time. Good to see you. You're still spot on with your analysis. Yes, Coach Eric Shell and the Super Eagles, they have a big task ahead of them. I've called it the real test. Whatever they've been doing from the group phase to round of 16 will be put to test tomorrow when they go against the Desert Foxes of Algeria. Mahrez shocked me today. I was at a press conference and I asked him, I said, are you guys feeling the pressure? Because everyone's talking about the win in 2019. And, unfortunately, one of the most performing teams from this AFCON, we get to leave tomorrow. Cecilia, Toby told me, he said they are thinking beyond the quarterfinal. They want to go on, to win it. And I think that's the sort of mentality, that can make the difference. But yeah, we also spoke to some Super Eagles players today. Bright Osai Samuel said they are pumped up. They want to go out there and make the country proud. Semi Ajayi said, look, this is a real challenge for them and their footballing careers, and they hope that they can turn it around. Frank Oyeka told me that the mentality is right, for this task, and that, look, they just want to go out there and, give the best that they can give. Toby, and look, I've looked at it over and over again. That's all they can do. Go out there, prove a point, take the pressure off yourself, tell the country you're sorry for not qualifying for the World Cup, and then see where we go from there.
True.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot for the Super Eagles to actually work on, when it comes to this particular game. Toby, I think you could quickly take this one from me before we go on a break. I mean, some of the things they actually need to do differently, because I was watching Morocco and Cameroon. I mean, the pace, even those that felt just maybe the Cameroonians may shock the host, it may not just happen because of the kind of pace that they have, just in case we push past the Algerians.
We need to dictate the pace. That's just the only thing we can do if we want to win this match. We need to, against the Tunisians, we detected the pace. And that's why before they could wake up and we took our chances. If we detect the pace and curtail that midfield, that is the engine room. Once we can detect the pace and score our goals, it is irrespective of whoever that scored the goal. Whoever is in best position to shoot, let them shoot from all cylinders, so that we should not start chasing the game. If we start chasing the game, it's going to be very crucial and dangerous for us.
Interesting, danger, and also crucial, because the Super Eagles just have a way of not, apart from the game against Mozambique, where we actually scored early. Most games, it's scored late. Well, we don't know what's going to happen in that one, but we need to go on a break. When we come back, we'll be listening to Moses Simon talking ahead of the game. He says it's not a revenge mission. He was one of those players that were around when Algeria defeated Nigeria in the semi-final in 2019 at the Africa Cup of Nations. Of course, for him, he feels just maybe this will be different, because this is not a revenge mission. This is a game they need to win. As Austin mentioned earlier, he said the same thing. It's a game they need to win because they need to atone for what happened, their failure to qualify for the World Cup. After this break, we will be listening to Moses Simon.
Of course, he's a different player, different mindset, and at the same time, different players from the Algeria also. But I think we talk about it, yes, of course. But this how we call it the past, because now we are in the present. A lot of young players want to make a name for themselves. Of course, we are there. We are motivated. We want to win. We are not going to try to win. We want to win. This is our goal, and we hope we have it. We don't have anything about revenge in our mindsets. We just want to play. We're a team that work every day to progress and to win due to the mentality. So I cannot tell you the Algerian teams, the North African teams are teams that are giving us trouble, because we are teams that are giving them trouble because we just kick them out. I think not the last game we beat the Tunisian team. Of course, the Tunisian team are one of the best teams in Africa. So it's not time to talk about teams or not teams. Every teams are really good in this competition. You can see every African teams now. They are good and they progress a lot. Just so there is no small teams and there is no big team anymore.
Obviously, that rings a bell, Toby. I mean, you don't have small teams anymore. Tanzania, for instance, had just 2 points, but they progressed. I mean, that's the point Moses Simon is trying to make there. So when you see a team in front of you, you do not underrate any team. But for the Algerians, they are yet to concede a goal. I mean, that's where the issue is at the moment right now, Toby.
Yeah, they have a very good defense, considering the fact that they understand how to flow from the midfield to the defense. So their midfield is working very well. So, and that is why they are be able to fortify the front line. And they have a very good goalkeeper also. Zidane's son, look at Zidane. Okay. He has been marshalling that defense very well. But one thing I want to say, like Moses Simon said, it is not about revenge. It is anybody that is about to utilize the opportunities. When you get the opportunity, it is always a very cagey match. Apart from the 5-1 that they had at the August 90, against Algeria, we always have 1-0, 2-1, 1-1 draw. So I see this game even going far if nobody scores, or if we score, they can score. That's the good of both of these two teams. But we need to just make sure that our strikers will not be selfish. Everybody play together as a team. And like the coach also said, the press is the mental state of the player. That is very key for me. For me, if you look on paper, Nigeria have a team that can withstand this Algerian team. But what is the mental state of our players? Maybe Austin will be able to help me with that, because I don't know much about the mental state of the players.
Yes, Toby, you're very correct, and the coach mentioned it yesterday, I gave that update when they landed. They got to a small reception, hosted by some Moroccan officials, and then straight up, it was about 2 hours rest, and the coach said, we need to get back to business. This is serious mission right here. And the state of mind is right, because look, even at a press conference, some journalists try to bring up this unpaid allowances conversation and all of that. And look, Coach Eric said, I am here for Algeria versus Nigeria. I'm not going to answer anything about it. If you want to know what's up with that, go and ask the federation. For me and my players, our mind is right, and we are focused on going out to play that game against Algeria. And I think that's right, That's the right mind frame that they should have for this crucial mission. And with what Algeria, they have been saying, they like the fact that they respect Nigeria. But if you go through the stats, Algeria seem to have, the most recent wins, And so the Super Eagles just need to find a way. I still stand by my prediction. I called a 3-1 win for Nigeria. They need to find a way to break that defense, because Algeria, they have a fantastic defensive record at this AFCON. So pressure will be on them when they see the runs from Ademola Lookman and Victor Osimhen's strength up front, and we are breaking down those defenses. They will concede. In 75 minutes, we played arguably the best football under Eric Schell and dismantled a well-organized Tunisian team. People just don't know how good that Tunisian team was. But we broke them down. We made them look stupid until they took their eyes off the ball and Tunisia started trying to stage a comeback. So, yeah, Toby, the state of mind, very, very important. I know Eric Schell always says it. Give it to him. Each time he's talking about his players, even when he praises them, he ends with, there is still a lot of work to do, and we need to improve. And that's why I asked him after the win against Mozambique. I said, 4 matches at this AFCON, coach. He keeps saying your team needs to improve. Are you seeing that improvement now? I said, no. Every time they need to improve, you know. And sincerely, I tried to have a conversation with him yesterday. He's really not happy with all this unpaid allowances talk that came out. The man was celebrating 1 year on the job, and he's got a decent record with the team. And it's important that he's the one who is supposed to lead that state of mind, because he's the leader, you know. So we just hope that everything works right, Cecilia, for the team. And maybe when we come next week, we'll be talking about Nigeria will play Morocco in the semis, because they're still leading that game against Cameroon.
Interesting. I think most Nigerians don't want that. That's why the odds were actually in favor, of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. But right now, it's the Moroccans are actually dominating the indomitable Lions. Toby, from what Austin has said concerning, no distraction, no matter what's going on. But what I'm wondering is who actually leaked, the story. I know it's the players. They just have a way of talking to journalists especially when they're very close to you. They could just confide in you and say, you know what, help us make noise now. There's something going on. Because if they had not actually talked about it, there is no way most people will know that they haven't been paid their, 4 matches allowances. But because what we are made to understand is the money for AFCON was approved before the tournament started, and that's January 5th, that's when the allowances was being approved. I'm like, why would they send it at that time? Is this maybe something they can actually do so that we don't have this thing again? Because some people are talking about there is a way you can actually have this you synchronize it in a way that, I'm trying to remember the word now, what you do that automatically as they're winning games or they're losing whatever you want to pay them, it drops in the account automatically, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like I said in my previous post on my personal social media, it's unfortunate we are in 2026 and we are still having these issues 10 years, 15 years down the line. These are things that can be they can be settled easily. So, but I read a statement from the Minister of Finance saying that everything has been, they speed out action to quickly sort everything. So, why waited till that? If they could have done that, why not just do that? At this stage, we needed that. We don't need that distraction. The team have been playing very well. Everybody, both the media, the organizers, the fans, everybody are rooting for the Super Eagles. In fact, the Moroccans, I watched Austin Okonakman's interview from the Moroccans and everybody. The Moroccans are tipping Nigeria and Morocco for the finals. You could see the French. But this distraction, I hope it doesn't affect the team. But it's also, like Austin said, it's also a good advantage because sometimes when there are distractions like this, it can be a catalyst for the players to rise above all the distraction to get. We've seen it with the Dream Team. We saw the Dream Team, the 2016 Olympic, when they went, BK and Co., they got there with issues of money and everything, but they went there, they went to win the game, and they even got bronze from the tournament. But not now. This is the Super Eagles. This is the biggest property of the federal government. This is the biggest property that unites the country. This is a big PR. It is not good for the international media. It's not good for anything. But we just hope this team can be done. And NFF, if they can always learn their lesson, because I know, and like I also asked a question, is it that the federal government don't have confidence in the NFF that they cannot deposit the money like a month or 2 months before and make sure those transactions are well sorted out? So those are other begging questions people are asking. But nevertheless, we believe this team can get the result irrespective of all the distractions.
But Toby, unfortunately, with the policies around TSA and FX, this problem will always be there because the players, they know that's what I'm talking about. And in this job, there are times that we need to use discretion. I hear a lot of things from players, from administrators. There are some things you just don't put out. The players, we were just saying to the NFF the other day that, well done to the federal government, the land allocation and everything. They gave it to them before the AFCON. Go back to the 1996 class. They only just got theirs when former housing minister Babatunde Fashola pushed under former president, the late Buhari, and it came out 1996. Now, what was promised just barely 2 years ago, you got it. Nobody complained. When you have to stay focused to do what you have to do, just stay focused and do it, particularly now that Nigeria's football is in a state of emergency. If they break that kind of story to me, you dig, talk to the NFF, find a way to develop it. You just don't go out there. But anyway, first I'll say, let's listen to Riyad Mahrez. He's been talking, particularly that big game against Nigeria tomorrow.
I don't think. I think that of course there is a pressure to win the game, but the pressure to win the tournament is a long way to think about, long way to go. Obviously, we want to. Both teams wants to go through. We are both great teams, and it will be the best at the game tomorrow. Will go through. So I hope it will be us. We have to make everything to perform in our best way. You guys are a bit better than 2019, but Nigeria always been very good team through the history. They always had top players, and that's how it is now as well. It will be a very good game to play, and I think as good as well to watch. So we are ready. We're gonna give everything for our country. Of course, I want to do well. I think it will be my last African Cup of Nation. So I don't want to project myself too much and too far. That's why I want just to concentrate and focus on the game of tomorrow and give everything, because it's really important for us to do something for us, for our country, for our supporters, and for our families.
What it is a national project, you know. I spoke to him at that press conference. You know, I wanted to really understand how important that game against Nigeria will be. And he said, look, not just us, our family, our country, everybody supporting the Desert Foxes. Cecilia, there's a big game ahead of us tomorrow.
It's a big one, really, because not just Riyad Mahrez has been talking. You also have all the players are talking about the Nigerian team. That's how special the Super Eagles are. And something we're all taking away from what they're talking about is the fact that the team that played in 2019, they're not as good as this particular team. Let's take a listen to them.
Them because I can say we have a very good defense, and I think we still haven't conceded one goal in this whole tournament. I think maybe also one of the best defensive line in the tournament, I can say. And yes, we trust our back line, and I think we can take them on. Yeah, I saw it 1 or 2 times. Yeah, I'm very happy and thankful for this one. It's very funny, yes, but yeah, what can I say?
We all know they have good players, and especially in their attack. So we have to be prepared for that. And yeah, what I said, like I expect it's going to be a high-level game with a lot of quality.
High-level quality. They understand the team that they are facing, the quality of it. I love the fact that they understand how big the Super Eagles are. And I hope and pray we don't take it up to extra time. Well, what they did with DR Congo, they can't do it to Nigeria. All the Super Eagles have to do is to score first. And before you know it, they crumbled, just like the Tunisians. I will send them out. We are in the semi-final. Austin, a quick update from the Morocco and Cameroonian game. What's still going on? Because Cameroon had to wait, or rather, both teams have to wait for 39 years before their meeting. And last time they met was from back 1992. Yeah, it's been a very, very long time. And Cameroon had never lost to Morocco. But it's like it's happening today.
I said it yesterday. I called it on the show. I was so confident about it because I know the Moroccans, they will go back, watch that game against Tanzania and give themselves slaps to bring them back to reality. The Ruben Diaz goal is still the difference. He scored that goal in the 26th minute, so it's still Cameroon 0, Morocco 1. The game at the moment is approaching the 71st minute. And look, Morocco, they're doing just enough to make sure that they hold on to that win. And I think they can go all the way unless the Indomitable Lions will run when it's least expected and do something special. But Toby, this one looks like it's going to the Atlas Lions.
Yeah, I think so. The Lions, considering also that they've been the host nation, they have good players. We've seen that. We saw that at the World Cup. We've seen what they've done. They still have that continuity in that team. And a lot of people are just looking at them because they are host nation. They are a good team. They are the best ranked team in Africa currently. So they have a very good team. They are taking their matches one after the other. And hopefully before the game ends, they will make it too. Because I can't guarantee you that the Cameroonians, they know how to cause upset in the last minute. But nevertheless, I see the Moroccans winning. Just like Nigeria will win tomorrow 2-0. I'm giving you 2-0. Austin said 3-1. I'm giving you 2-0.
Interesting. All right. Let's leave Nigeria again now, because I know we can actually do Nigeria-Algeria show, right? But we're going to be talking about another game that will be played on Saturday. That's this particular match, Côte d'Ivoire and Egypt, 7-time champions, a record time, and of course, the holders of the current trophy. It's going to be 8 p.m. after the Nigeria game, and of course, it's going to be in Agadir. While Nigeria is in Marrakech, they are in Agadir, right there in Morocco. So, Austin, this is another big one. Looking at these two teams, I mean, Mo Salah is trying to make history. He has never won the Nations Cup with Egypt, and everyone has been talking about this is his moment. But the defending champions are right there in their face to see if they can stall them.
I know, Cecilia, it's such a big game, but the Pharaohs of Egypt and the sort of football that they've been playing. But let's see. This one is so difficult to call. I tried everything I could to judge it, to talk about it, because it can go anywhere easily. But with the Cameroon and Morocco, I was ready for any upset. I would take it. But with Egypt, Mo Salah, and them trying to get back to reckoning, they said the other day that it's looking like a disrespect. And of course, they like what Morocco seemed to be doing. Before the AFCON, Tunisia was also doing well with their football. So it was just Egypt waiting to get into that conversation. And this is Egypt that has bossed this competition, over the years. So maybe history will just favor them. Maybe. It's hard to call this one, Toby. Where do you think it's going?
For me, I think Côte d'Ivoire, defending champion. And if you look at the assembly of their team, they have young players who are also doing very well. Their team is very compatible. They play compact football from the midfield to the attack and to the defense. Ahmad is doing very well. And the other players from the back line that who could score. So it's going to be a very difficult game. I still see an upset, defending champion crashing out.
Interesting. All right. Talking about crashing out. Now, these two sides, let's take a look at how many times they've met. They played 22 games in all, and it's all about the Egyptians, the Pharaohs. They've won 10 times, and of course, for Côte d'Ivoire, 6 draws. They're tied on this. Losses 10, and Egypt, they've lost 6 to them. Goal for 23 and 28 for Egypt, and goal against 28 and 23 for Egypt. And of course, the goal difference was -5 and 5 for Egypt. And then take a look at the head-to-head record in the Africa Cup of Nations. They've met 11 times in all, and Egypt have won 7 out of that. Well, Côte d'Ivoire winning just 1. I think you predicting upset, I don't know if it's going to happen. But then the draws you have, they're tied on it 3, and the loss is obviously 7 and a 1 for Egypt. A goal for 8 for Côte d'Ivoire, 19 for Egypt, and against 19 and 8 in that order. Goal difference of -11. And for Egypt, 8-11. So looking at the statistics, I mean, on paper, the Egyptians, obviously, you say, they will crush down the elephant on Saturday night. Our fingers crossed. But Austin, there's updates coming from the game between Morocco and Cameroon. So it seems the Moroccans' dream will definitely continue, aiming for their first AFCON since 1976.
I told you, Cecilia, I was so sure Ismail Saibari was the second goal for the host. Look, it is what it is. This Moroccan team, before the AFCON, who wasn't singing their songs of praise? Who wasn't, So because we got into tournament mode now, some teams can play the way they did, e.g. Tanzania, and then everybody wants to forget that this Moroccan team is solid and they are coming from a solid structure from about 6-7 years ago, did it at the World Cup, got the world talking. They continued, went before the AFCON, won the Gulf Cup, won the Arab Cup, winning everything.
Under 20.
Not just on the
Under
field.
20.
Under there 20. We go.
They also won the under 20. They put structure in place. And that's why I said they are currently the best team in Africa. They have the players, they have the experience. And again, they are playing at home. Forget, a lot of people are just looking at them because they are host nation. They have a good team that can beat any team in the tournament. And I see them going far in the tournament. But let's hope Nigeria qualify first before we know whether they will win.
I think you're so right in that aspect. Also, remember, there was actually a time we dedicated a show to the Moroccan team.
That's right.
When they were like, when they were 18 games winning streak, not unbeaten. Winning streak. You know, Spain had it. I think theirs ended in 15, but they've continued. Now, this Africa Cup of Nations, they've won 4 games so far. This is the 5th one. I mean, there was a draw in between. But if you now take a look at their unbeaten run, it simply means they are unbeaten how many games? You're looking at 23 at the moment. No country in the world has ever done that. So that's what the Moroccans are currently doing. And so you can actually rate them well as the best team in the world, if you like, because the World Cup is coming. We'll see what they can actually do about that.
They are 10th in the world. They are 10th in the world. That's not mean feat.
Yes, a top 10 in the world. But so we remember when the Super Eagles were actually top 4, right? Okay.
Number 5. We were 5th in the world after the USA 94.
Okay, so we're going to be leaving that. Africa Cup of Nations, I know we can spend the whole time talking about Africa Cup of Nations, but we need to move on from the Africa Cup of Nations. Your prediction you predicted 2-0 for Nigeria, right? Are you going to stick your neck out for Cote d'Ivoire and Egypt?
Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt might win 2-1.
On paper.
But Egypt is winning. Egypt is winning. The record statistics, everything.
It's the result I want. It's the result I'm looking at. Austin, do you want to do that?
I still want to stay with Egypt, and that's because as a team, if you want to judge it based on team play, cohesion, understanding, I think they're a better side, So, yeah, I want to stick with Egypt, but I'm not going to. I don't want to say a scoreline, please, but I'll just say Egypt.
Okay, money is in your pocket. Well, so we want to thank you so much for joining us on this segment of the Africa Cup of Nations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be back home.
Yeah, thank you. We can't wait to have you maybe one day in the studio right here in Nigeria, Lagos.
Anything can happen.
All right, I'm waiting for that. After the timeout, we'll take a look at the FA Cup's selected fixtures for you for this weekend. Talk about maybe the oldest competition in the world, right? The English FA Cup. So it's all starting this weekend. We're taking a look at some of the selected fixtures starting on Saturday. Everton and Sunderland will be in action. You have Burnley and Millwall, Fulham and Middlesbrough, and Man City and Exeter City. Okay. Newcastle will be up against Bournemouth. That's all Premier League game. Sheffield and Brentford will be in action. You have Tottenham and Aston Villa, Charlton and Chelsea will also be in action on Saturday. You have other games for Sunday. West Ham and QPR or Queen's Park Rangers. Manchester United will be hosting Brighton. That's another all Premier League clash. Portsmouth and Arsenal will be in action, and Derby County and Leeds United will also be in action for a Sunday game. So selected fixtures for you. Also, you love upsets, right? That's where you always have it in the FA Cup. But when you're having at least the Man United, some of those teams are usually crash out early. For sometimes now, United, they're facing Brighton, so there will be an upset in that aspect. But there are some teams that might just be looking at upset, right?
And sometimes my friends come at me and said I'm beefing their team. When you said Charlton, Chelsea, I said Charlton. You said Portsmouth, I said Portsmouth. It's not that I don't like it. I just like honesty. I love upsets, but I'm just talking. But yeah, it's the upset cup. That's what I call it. The English FA Cup really gets us talking. And if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, go check who won it the last time. It was the team that no one expected to win it. Crystal Palace, popped up and got the trophy. ahead of Manchester City. So, Cecilia, yeah, I hope they give us something to talk about next week. But as if Nigeria still stays in the AFCON, I might not have energy to talk about it if something goes wrong at the Africa Cup of Nations. But yeah, that's it with the FA Cup. Let me just do a quick update before we leave the studio. 84th minute gone in that game between Cameroon and Morocco, and it's still Cameroon 0, Morocco 2. I said what I said. You guys listen to me when I talk about football. I've been in this business for quite some time. That's the show. In Marrakech, Morocco, I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
The same way that will also say, where football, you never can tell what's going to happen. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Good night.